Even though it's been a decade since Those Nights at Fredbear's got cancelled, there has been a lot of Those Nights at Fredbear's fan games that have came out in recent times. It all started in 2016 with UE4 FNAF Fangame devs Those Nights at Fredbear's remake, but more recently we had Rothney's Those Nights at Fredbear's New Destiny, which has revived the popularity of Those Nights at Fredbear's fan games. Also, I just want to mention that UE4 FNAF Fangame devs Those Nights at Fredbear's is actually lost media, so please re-upload it if you still have a copy. A lot of them follow the same formula of you just running away from the animatronics and surviving for a certain amount of time. But recently, a new Those Nights at Fredbear's fan game came out that on the surface looks like a run-of-the-mill free roam FNAF fan game, but in actuality, it is way more than that. This game gained a lot of attention on the 9th of April 2026 after Dorko played it and told people in the title to play this FNAF fan game, and that's what I did, and to say that I was surprised by it would be an understatement. This game only came out 2 weeks ago, and obviously this video is going to contain major spoilers, so if you want to go in blind, I'll link the game in the description. This game was made by Cole, who is known for making the critically acclaimed Roblox FNAF fan game, FNAF 2 Reimagined. This game is called Fredbear Fangame number 998,433. It was released on April Fool's Day of 2026. So this is a joke game, and this is a late April Fool's video. Right? It has the most generic free roam game menu imaginable. It's just Fredbear and Spring Bonnie in front of a black background. When you press new game, you are outside of Fredbear's family diner. The door is locked, and next to the door is a note that says that the delivery driver has a spare key and is very clumsy. It also tells you to leave the animatronics alone because they're trying to rest. Around the back of the restaurant, there is a giant door on the wall. Next to it is a truck which has a key to the diner. After you pick up the key, you fall through the floor. At first I thought this was a bug, which was fairly common for free roam FNAF fan games back in the day, most notably the alpha for T-Jock Reborn. However, this was actually intentional and it only happens once. You'll respawn afterwards. When you go into the diner, you'll find that it's just a load of empty rooms with little texturing. It also plays the extras music from the 2016 Those Nights at Fredbear's remake. It tells you to go into the office. This is when things take a turn. The music becomes distorted, then the screen starts to glitch out and the player is being thrown around. Spring Freddy and Spring Bonnie spawn in and start following you around. After a while, a ghost with a rabbit head will appear in the room. Then everything except for the ghost goes black. You then wake up in a completely different room. This room is way more textured than a diner. It's as if you just got warped into a different game. The room has the same layout as the office, with there being a desk and a door on the left and right. You then hear chimes of a grandfather clock behind you. This is when the main mechanic of the game is introduced, time warping. It's never actually given a name, but I'm just going to call it that. You can warp between a 2016 looking Those Nights diner and this hyper realistic looking diner that is in an abandoned state by pressing R. You can also use a flashlight by pressing F. I'm just going to call the 2016 looking one the new location and the other one the old location. I don't know if that's even accurate, but just easier to say that. You're locked in the office in both locations. However, in the new location, there is a back room behind the office. This establishes that the layout of the locations is not identical, and there are parts that are being blocked by walls in one location but not the other, which means that you have to time warp to get to some rooms. On each hour, you're given a new task. This is 1 AM. When you go into the back room and time warp, you end up in a bathroom, kinda like the bathroom in the basement in T-Jock story mode. This one is a lot bigger though. When you go back to the office in the old location, the right door will be open, giving you access to a hallway. At the end of the hallway, there is a door which is locked. You have to enter a 4-digit code to open the door. So the code is actually different each time you play the game, so the code that I got will not be the same as the one that you got. There are numbers located around the rooms and it's in the same order every time. The first number you have to put in will be next to the Freddy plush on the desk as seen in the new location's office. After typing in the first number on the keypad, Fredbear will be right behind you. He will slowly be stalking you, however he won't actually touch you. If you get too close to him, he'll move away from you. However, if you keep getting too close to him, it will provoke him, so keep your distance. After typing the first number, the left hallway is unlocked. In the new location, there is a Chica plush with a number on it, and in the old location, there is a Bonnie and Foxy plush on the table. When you pick up the Bonnie and Foxy plush, it will give you a number. So you're probably wondering, what order did you put the code in? Well, there is a poster on the wall in the new location which has Freddy, Bonnie, Chica and Foxy ordered from left to right. I think you can guess what order you're supposed to put the code in from that. After you put the code in correctly, you hear the chimes. Your screen starts to shake and you hear a heartbeat. When this happens, you have to run to the office. If you take too long, the doors will close, and then this happens. Even if there's not really any threats during this hour, it's still intense, with Fredbear just lurking around and you don't know there's something else hiding. And of course, the old location looks very well textured. It really is testament to see how far we've come since the 2016 era of free-roam FNAF fan games. I should probably get this out the way, this game is prone to lag quite a bit at the start of each hour due to it being an enormous game. And this could definitely be one of those games that could not run properly on a weak computer. On the second hour, you can open a door that you had to put the code into. You're in this massive room with very poor lighting. Fredbear is still roaming around, but this time he is out for blood. If he catches you, he doesn't pick you up and scream at you, he just crushes your head into bits.
Get off!
Meanwhile, in the new location, Spring Bonnie is now active. He is a lot slower than Fredbear and can easily be outran. Believe it or not, the lighting in the new location is actually worse than the old location. If you turn your flashlight off, it'll be pitch black in some places. Spring Bonnie has night vision as evident by his glowing eyes, whilst Fredbear actually doesn't. If you turn your flashlight off and stay in dim areas, Fredbear might actually not notice you. Fredbear runs about as fast as you, but it's very hard to outrun him. What you can do is warp to the new location and he'll stop chasing you. So, what are you actually supposed to be doing? In the new location, there is a section that is being blocked off by wood planks. To get through them, you need a crowbar. The crowbar is located in the kitchen in the new location. To get there, you have to first find the kitchen in the old location, then warp to the new location, and you'll find it. There's 3 planks blocking the way and you have to remove each individual one. Spring Bonnie is likely to find you whilst breaking them down. If he finds you, he will make a sound. When you hear it, you've got to lure him away from the planks by making him follow you around. Once you're in, you've got to walk back to the old location where you end up in a vinyl store. There's a record player where you can put the vinyls into. Most of them just play music. However, 4 of them will play a voice recording.
The boy quickly turned into the south in fear. He would not spare to look at what he'd done.
In the new location, there is 4 numbers, 1 through 4, each on the tile. If you turn off a flashlight, the numbers will glow. The numbers next to the records indicate the order of what record you're supposed to play. The voice recording mentions north, south, west, and east in each recording.
The boy looked north and smiled, for they were finally reunited.
That's because on the other side of the room there is a compass. You've got to stand in the middle and look in the direction the voice tells you to look at. It will be in the order of the vinyl from 1 through 4. It's a different order every time you play the game, so you'll always have to play the records. After looking in said directions, a ghost will appear and take one of the vinyls before disappearing. The vinyl is now on the floor. When you play the vinyl, you'll hear the circus music from FNAF 1 along with a kid laughing.
Wait. No, I remember that.
Then the record player closes and next to it is a lighter. You then hear the chimes and have to run to the office again. This really does capture the same feel as a basement from T-Jock's story mode. It may not be as intense, but this time you actually have to solve the puzzles every time you replay the game. Now onto the 3rd hour, which steps things up even more. You start off in an old location. On the right side of the location, you'll find a room with a Bonnie plush.
This feels wrong.
After you light it on fire, Spring Bonnie spawns in and chases after you. This Spring Bonnie has the same decay textures as Fredbear. Spring Bonnie is even faster than Fredbear, so time warping is even more necessary. And there is an even bigger threat in the new location, Spring Freddy, who runs even faster than the player, meaning that you must warp locations if he spots you. There are 5 objects you have to commit arson on, all of them are in the old location. One is obviously the Bonnie plush, which you always have to burn first. There's also a Foxy plush located on the stage. If you warp to the new location while standing right next to the stage in the old location, you can actually get on top of it and hide from the animatronics. They won't be able to reach you from there. Next to the stage is the gaming room with arcade machines. You then have to burn a PS2 copy of some FNAF game. There's also 2 storage rooms on the other side of the stage. The rightmost one has a party hat that you have to burn. And lastly, there's a vinyl to burn. Then at the clock's chime, you have to once again run back to the office. I'd recommend burning the vinyl last because it's the closest to the office. Definitely don't burn the party hat last because you'll likely not reach the office in time. Also, the vinyl can only be seen using the flashlight unless you just so happen to remember precisely where it is. The strategy to beating this is to try to keep the flashlight off as much as you can in the old location, as it makes Spring Bonnie harder to notice you. You only ever need to warp locations to get away from Spring Bonnie this time. You'll find yourself doing a lot of rapid warping since Spring Freddy might catch you as soon as you go to the new location, and Spring Bonnie might still be chasing you. There is one part of the hour that is a bit luck based. If Spring Bonnie finds you whilst you're setting something on fire, he will kill you. You can hear him when he is nearby, but he might just walk past, so it's best to just take the risk. Next time you go into the new location, you'll fall into the diner and your screen glitches out. Then the screen goes black. Now we get to the most intense part of the game. You wake up inside a vent. You have the lighter, which you can use as a flash beacon. When you use the lighter, you can't move, preventing you from just spamming it. You're not alone though, as Fredbear is also in the vents. If you hear him, you have to use a lighter to scare him off. It's very difficult to hear him, and sometimes the crawling sounds can be louder, which will throw you off. Later on, Spring Bonnie becomes active. He makes a very different sound to Fredbear. When you hear it, you have to stay still and not use a lighter, otherwise he will break your neck. This part is terrifying. The sounds are very quiet and you can't see in front of you. You really don't know how far the animatronics are from you. If you feel like you might have heard something, you've got to stop, listen out, and if you know it's not Spring Bonnie, you can turn the lighter on. When you eventually find the exit, you'll then hear someone crawling from behind you. You have to keep crawling towards the exit, and if you stop, you'll die. You then fall out of the vents and end up in a new part of the diner. You can't warp locations during this bit. There is a door with wood planks blocking the way. There is a crowbar next to the door. When you pick up the crowbar, you can break down the planks. When Fredbear shows up behind you, you start panicking and try to quickly remove the planks. Then Spring Bonnie appears behind you and turns into a ghost. You put down a crowbar and they walk towards each other. Then the ghost turns back into Spring Bonnie and takes the mask off. Then Fredbear picks you up and throws you out of bounds. Then you wake up in a hut in the middle of a forest. You look at drawings of blueprints of the restaurants Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. The protagonist realizes that they were in the same pizzeria as the one seen on the map. They then pull out the lighter and are about to burn a place down, but they then decide not to go along with it. You then walk out of the hut and see that it is named Fort Cunningham. Then you get one final shot of the protagonist walking away from the hut. And that's where the game ends. So the whole thing was all just a dream. The story for this game hasn't been confirmed, but this is what I think. I think you play as Michael Afton, who's being haunted by the guilt of getting his brother killed in the bite of 83. The ghost seen is the ghost of the bite victim. Maybe this is his brother's spirit taunting him about what he did. This is implied during the records heard at 2 AM.
The boy quickly turned into the south in fear. He would not bear to look at what he'd done.
The guilt of getting his brother killed and possibly the nightmares that he had caused him to go so insane that he completely distanced himself from society and went to live in the forest. After having this dream, he realized that he has been losing his mind over losing his brother, and that encourages him to leave Fort Cunningham. Interestingly, Fort Cunningham is actually a real fort from the 19th century, located in Bermuda. Bermuda is a place known for its mysteries, mostly surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know if that has any relation to this game, or if it's just a coincidence, or they just took the name from it. So that's the end of Fredbear Fangame number 998,400. Let's just call it Those Nights at Fredbear's 2026. This is unexpectedly a really good game. This feels like Those Nights at Fredbear's if Nixon were to remake it as part of the fanverse. It's not only a great free roam game where the gameplay actually lives up to the graphics, but the opening and new location parts are a good tribute to the 2016 free roam FNAF fan games you probably played when you were a kid. This feels very different to your typical free roam fan game, with a time warping mechanic and having the same trial and error style gameplay as T-Jock's story mode. And this is the scariest FNAF fan game that I've played in a long time. If you like free roam FNAF fan games, but a little bored of running away from the animatronics being the whole gimmick, I would highly recommend checking this game out. It can easily be beaten in one sitting too, so you don't have to devote too much time for it. What's crazy about this game is it had no public documentation of its development, so God knows how long this game was in development for. Well, it's good to see that a game like this is getting the recognition it deserves, and I really do hope we get more games like it.